Good morning, everybody. It's another no hat day. Um, hope you all are doing well. Uh, Something struck me yesterday after our show, and I got us a question, and it's a pretty robust question, I think, and I don't know that anybody's going to have an answer from the side of, at least from the side of people that disagree. But I've noticed a trend, and I want to know, why are people so anxious to try and find a way to miss out on salvation? What I mean by that is, since the conversation around once saved, always saved came up, right? I keep hearing people, their rebuttal to that statement. Part of it is biblical, part, not a whole big piece of it, just part. The other part is literally feels like they're trying to find a way to lose it. I don't hear people stating genuine affection for the place God put them. They keep seeming to want to find a way out of that place by their own methods. Like, maybe I'm not phrasing it right. It's almost like salvation is just not enough. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. It feels like to them it's not enough. And almost in along the same vein, they really don't consider him enough to keep them. And so I had to wonder whether or not people really believe salvation is um, built in a way that can keep you saved. I you can tell me if I'm just not getting this right. Um, if I'm seeing things off, but I've watched this issue a while now. Um, One of the places I saw it most played out was on Corey's channel. Okay. Um, and whenever Corey talks about salvation, it almost feels like everyone that comes in the room comes in with the intention to prove to him that there is definitely a way to do it. And always they lean to the idea of just walking away. Like the person just stops. They just decide this ain't for me. I don't believe anymore. And I have to think to myself, there must be something I'm missing. There must be something I'm missing, because if you're in a place where you have everything you need, like literally everything you need, you don't need anything. And even in some parts of the house, you have what you want. But one morning you get up and you just decide, I'm going to go find a different house and leave everything there that you need, and leave everything that you've been given and everything you want. You leave it there to go find a different house because in your mind, you feel that this house can be lost, even though it's not your house. And you just get up one day and walk out the door. Why? Why would you do that? It's a confusing conundrum for me because I just cannot place my mind, even with all my screw ups, even with screwing up. You're telling me that you would just want to walk away from God after you say you've known Him? I just want to know why you would. That's all I want to know is what is the allure of walking away? What's the allure? What does God have that makes Him so horrible that you would want to just leave? Say you decided one morning, you get up, you're saved, you get saved. You say, God, I love you. I with all my heart. I realize that I'm a sinner and all that stuff, right? You said, I'm going to follow you till the day I die. What made you follow Him to begin with that could be forgotten, ignored, left behind in order for you to walk away? What exactly did you know about God? No, that you either instantaneously forget, something else came up that was of more import. What exactly, and this is just from the human side, would it take for you to just leave? What would it take? Because it seems so weird that people would just do that. Like I genuinely don't know what would do it. I don't think it's the allure to leave, but the lack of actually being saved that they left. They were choked off by the weeds. I agree. Now, I'm not saying that they are walking away from salvation. My question is, what makes you think or makes you go to the idea that this is something that you, one, could do, or two, why would you want to walk away? No, because he never was, was never saved. No, no, that's not walking away. If you read what really Judas's role was, he was used for a specific purpose, but he was never saved. But it does seem to me like more and more people are just screaming at salvation as a problem. That they one moment they're saved, and the next moment they say, "Well, I'm done with that." If you did come to the knowledge of God, which is what it really means to be saved, and you do understand what He did for you, which is part of what being saved is, and you did indeed relinquish the old man because you realize he's no good, what could be the allure of going back? One, and why fight so hard to try and convince people that you can lose something that you never instituted? So I'm hoping that you guys can help me out. I am. I'm hoping for a conversation as to the hmm, logic here or illogic. Because I really can use the help. I need somebody to help this poor fool out. I really need you to help me out on this one. Um, I'm going to see if I can find a video I'm thinking about. Let me see here. There was one that he had. Okay, here's a good one. Okay, here we go. This is a good one. I think this is a good conversation to jump in on. Um, because reasons. Because reasons, feeling nothing more than feeling. I'm on 4K. As soon as I get this downloadable, I'll play it. But you get my, do y'all understand my question? Or am I not phrasing it right? Because I could be not phrasing it right. I do that a lot, and it's something I'm working on. But if you can help me out here. Let me see if I can find it. All right. So let's back it up all the way from the beginning. I think we'll go from the beginning. Because there's something not right in this whole layout that I'm just not getting.
Mark, Mark, how you doing, sir?
Hey, God bless you, brother. What's going on?
Oh, not a whole lot. What you got for where you disagree?
Um, it's not about disagreeing. It's more like I want a little bit more understanding in regards to the salvation part. So
Okay.
I got a few texts that comes to mind.
Okay.
So I would like for you to illuminate on that. Like can a person when they are born again, do they can they still transgress against Jesus and live a life that way, regardless of the fact that they have knowledge of the gospel and the blood of Christ and them having to be walking in sanctification?
It's a
Can
good
they
question.
still transgress?
Now, notice how you phrase the question. And I'm starting to get with that one question. I got a little bit of clarity. People genuinely want to abide in the idea that salvation is actionary. Yeah, that's what it is. That it is purely actionary. Like you have a behavior that you have to maintain. You have to maintain this behavior in order to be saved. You must maintain that behavior because it's a show. It's an act. I have to force myself to do certain things. I have to create a reason and I have to gymnastic my way around sin. So I guess in essence it comes back to them not understanding his sovereignty and what God's role is. I think that might be part of it.
It's a good question because what we see a lot of times are people who live a certain way. Now, anyone can say they're a Christian. There's no constitutional prohibition in saying that I'm a Christian. Anybody in America can call themselves a Christian. You can call yourself a blade of grass if you want to. There's no rule against that, but that doesn't make it so. So what we do sometimes is we judge the person who calls himself a Christian who is not a Christian as though he is, and it says, well, see, here's a person who's a Christian who ain't. So what does the Bible say about that? And that's why, let me put it up one more time. These rules, guys, take a screenshot of this that I put up about, and this is to answer the question that he just asked, and that is, would a Christian live a certain way?
Now, therein lies the question. If you are a Christian, that's what you are, a Christian. What does that actually come with? What does the life of a Christian actually come with? Does it come with the ability to just regress into the old man? Does it come with the ability to still maintain the old way of doing your life and still say that you're living for God? Or is there a decisive change in your makeup, behavior, viewpoint when you become a Christian? And if it's a decisive change, then you probably are not going to be living the same life you lived before you became a Christian. I wouldn't say probably you're not going to live the same life. If it's truly a transformative change, there is no going back to the old man. And even when he rears his head to want you to do something, there will be an instant check. That's the giving you the way out part. He gives you a check. Don't go there. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, let's go to one of the first rules. This comes from Luke chapter 8 and in verse 15. If you receive the word of God in a good heart. Now, I don't know if you can see that on your screen, Mark, but if you can see that,
Yes,
look at rule one. I mean, truth 1A and 1B. 1A says you will keep the word. So a true believer is going to keep the word with perseverance, which means forever.
Yeah.
B says that you will bear fruit with perseverance. So you will always. So what are you going to do? You're going to bear fruit. Can you bear fruit and live a life of sin?
No.
At the same time? You can't do that, can you?
Can I answer?
Yeah, go ahead.
So my understanding, right? Jesus says that a bad tree cannot produce good fruit and a good tree cannot produce bad fruit, right? Now, I also come to an understanding that salvation is a gift according to Ephesians 2, and the gifts are irrevocable, meaning that God won't be able to take them back.
No. It's not won't be able to take them back. He just doesn't. That's his nature.
But can a saved person still be a worker of iniquity and be casted out, regardless if that person can grieve the Holy Spirit? Because we also are told that there is an apostasia, like an apostasy of the hearts of the believers turning cold and turning away from Christ. Like we see in the book of Revelation, where when he attends to the 7 churches, only 2 is qualified, and the 5 has like Jesus has a problem with them and say, look, listen, if you don't repent or if you don't meet according to these standards, you will be disqualified in a sense.
Okay,
so Corey, my brother, it's not like
hold yourself, because I'm trying to remember those passages you brought up. Hold yourself. I'm trying to remember those passages that you brought up. Sure. The worker of iniquity, it comes from Matthew chapter 7, right? 7:21, 22, 23, and so forth, right? 23, 24, 25. What does Jesus say about the person who is the worker of iniquity? He says, I never knew you.
Okay. I think I get it. I get it. I get it. I think I get it. I think I get it. I think I got it. And I think I got it long before this. We are those of people who think that what God gave you, you can give away or throw away, have lost all knowledge of the sovereignty and godhood that gave it to them. Like they really have a lack of reverence. That's the first thing they lack. But mostly they do not believe the man God is God. He's not God. In fact, he's so weak that whatever he does can be overturned by us. I remember watching a turbine being put in place in a dam, okay? Because we have dams here, a lot of them. And if you ever witness them putting in a whole turbine engine into the mechanism of that dam, it's huge. It is nasty huge. We are talking 3 school buses wide, okay? And you're talking about a full school bus deep. So it's a big engine, right? Massive engine. And when you stand next to it, you don't necessarily understand the danger of that machine. You just don't. And you have the tendency to act a little bit foolish because of the awe. Now, one of the times that I was privy of the installation of one, I was just running the cabling from one area of the dam to the next. But my cabling had to go around this giant turbine. And in my passing around it, I ran my cabling through the conduit and round and up, and then it was break time, so it took the break. And then there was a lockdown. We're like, well, what happened? So the lockdown happened. I left to go get lunch and come back, and then the place was on lockdown. I was like, what's happening? Well, somebody died. How'd they die? He got pinned by the turbine. I was like, pinned by the turbine? Yeah, he got crushed by the turbine. So what he did was he was working around the turbine, and he did not take the necessary precautions around this turbine that he should have been saying. And he did not take any precautions, and eventually he got crushed. And I think that's the way it is with Christians, that people that say they're Christian, they can see the danger of the turbine if they would just but read the instructions. And if you watch how a dam moves water, you would understand that this turbine, being as big as it is, must have some power. But when you deny the power of that turbine and you decide to just willy-nilly operate around it, there's some consequences for that. I don't think they fully get the power of God. This turbine, working in conjunction with others, push tons and tons and thousands of tons and tens of thousands of tons of water around like it's nothing. But you'll still have the one person around that thinks, it's okay. It's not a big deal. It's just a turbine. I've heard so many people actually take that approach with God. Like it's just this suggestion to be a certain way with him. Like you don't have to have real reverence and awe for him. I'm not saying this guy doesn't have that. It's just that his questions all seem to lean towards somebody agreeing that, yeah, you can get away from it. Like you can just leave salvation and it's okay to just walk away. Even if it's not okay, it's super simple to do. But this answer that Corey gave him about the person that's doing something ill, that God doesn't know them, is akin to the person that has no reverence for the turbine.
That person was never a believer, were they?
Being born again?
He was a born again believer.
Would a worker of iniquity will cause them to never know Jesus?
You see what I mean? Do you see what I mean? They are trying so hard to just be lost. It's so weird. Oh my, why? Why though? I don't get it. Why? Man, that's crazy work to me.
Despite the fact that he was born again?
Jesus said, I never knew you, never. So how could it be that he never knew them, but he did at some point in time did know them? Because you can't be born of the Spirit and he didn't know you, right?
I can take that.
Okay, so we can't use that passage. What was the other one you said about the party, the apostasia?
In regards to those scriptures, it says that the apostasy, that you would have believers that will fall away from the faith, right? And in I believe in the book of Hebrews, it talks about those who trample on the blood of Christ.
Okay, let's deal with the first one. Let's deal with first.
Sure. Let's take our time with this.
But the Spirit explicitly says, in the latter times, people will fall away from the faith. What are they falling away from, Mark?
The faith.
From what?
The faith.
Okay, is that a noun or a verb?
I don't know. I'm sorry.
What do you think?
A noun or a verb?
Yeah.
I'll be guessing, and I don't want to look like a fool.
Just fall away from, and then what? They're falling away from what?
The faith.
Okay, so what do you think that is? The faith, noun or verb?
Verb.
No, it's a noun.
It's a noun.
Now,
I'm sorry.
Why that's important is every time in the Bible that you see someone falling away from, departing, or leaving away from, they are moving away from the faith, what they know, the tenets of the faith. In other words, matter of fact, let's put it back on the screen where it says falling away from the faith. Look below me how it's written. It says the belief, the trust, the value, the proof. They're falling away from that. So these are people who in the latter times are going to move away from the tenets of the faith, the things that we know are true. Meaning, what are the tenets? That Jesus is God. Nowadays, more and more people don't believe that. They don't believe in the bodily resurrection. There's a lot of things that we have to believe to be believers. Not a lot of
Corey.
things. There are things we have to believe, and more people are moving away from that. Right?
Can I interject?
Go ahead.
That's kind of a little bit of, I wouldn't agree. I can agree, but I can also disagree, because put it like this: could you agree with this, that understanding is the barometer of faith, and because people lack understanding, their faith becomes short because they don't have knowledge in regards to what they stand on?
The goalpost just moved, in case you didn't catch it. The goalpost moved. And it moved pretty significantly. I'm gonna back that up. I want to flesh that out again.
Go ahead.
That's kind of a little bit of, I wouldn't agree. I can agree, but I can also disagree, because put it like this: could you agree with this, that understanding is the barometer of faith, and because people lack understanding, their faith becomes short because they don't have knowledge in regards to what they stand on?
No. I don't think it's an understanding. I don't think it's an understanding issue. I don't think so. I think it's a conscious decision to put self above salvation. That's what I believe. I think these people purposefully, directly, hands-on, put themselves above salvation. Because you still have self. You still want to maintain you.
Because
you have to understand what you have faith in. You have to understand what you have faith in. Correct.
Right. So in that regard, many people is having a problem with distinguishing between the deity of Christ and the Father himself, because even though there's a lot of times we can see in the passages that Christ is regarded as God, but a lot of people can't distinguish or differentiate between the Father and Christ to be of one of the same or separate.
Okay, so hold on. So let's think about a couple things. I read the passage, Luke 8:15. Right now, Luke 8:15 is the parable of the seed and soil, and so that's also mentioned in Matthew 13. Now, if we read the very same Jesus speaking about the very same parable, he says that these people did not understand. So you have to understand what it is you have faith in. But then going back to 1 Timothy 4, notice what he says. They're falling away from it. This is them doing so on their own. This word right here, prosthetes. This means that what they're doing is they on their own are, when you apostatize, the word literally means this word right here, apostasantai, that means them doing so. This is the middle voice. So they are withdrawing on their own, meaning it's not an issue that they didn't know. It's now an issue that they are rejecting it. They are moving. I no longer believe that. I don't agree with that anymore.
Now, this is where things get a little bit crazy for me. I don't agree that the Bible is complicated, and I don't agree that understanding is the issue that people have when it comes to God. I don't think they have a problem understanding the way the setup is with the Holy Spirit, Jesus, and the Father. I don't think they have a problem understanding this. I think they have a problem accepting it. I think they have a problem accepting it. And the biggest reason they have a problem accepting it is because accepting that would mean that they have to change. And I don't think it's complicated. I don't think it's rough in the mentals. I think it's easy, but they don't want to change. But society has also made it very easy to not have to change and still call yourself a Christian. You're not. You're living the same life you lived before, but you're just, a little different action-wise.
Okay. So this isn't people who didn't understand to begin with, because that would include a 6-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old who places a child that Jesus wants to come to him, who doesn't quite understand what 1 Timothy and James 5 and other passages. These are people who are moving away on their own from the truth.
Okay. So can I ask this question then?
Mm-hmm.
If they can have the choice to reject it, then isn't that in regards of the ability to lose it?
Why? What is the fascination with trying to find a way to get out? Like, for real, no, for real, man. What is the allure of constantly finding, trying to find, suggesting you know of a way to get out of? Why? I don't get it, man.
By choice.
What do you
But
mean?
at the same time, like for instance, like let me say this: if a person could reject the faith, right, and if salvation is a gift, it's not based on works, right? But it's something that God has granted you, right? But of course, it comes from hearing and believing what you have heard, right? But how can you lose something that you wasn't able to gain in the first place?
Okay, well then you're not losing it. If you don't have it, you're not losing it.
You see, when I tell you that Corey's much better in his demeanor and his carrying through of, I just don't have that kind of patience, bro. I don't. I don't. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. And look, it's a reason why God has not allowed people to come onto this platform often. There's a reason, because he's still working on that part of me. Man, is he working on that? What? I look. I don't know, man. I don't, look. He's saying it. He's saying it that you can't, but we'll still come back and try to find a way to suggest that he could. I'd wait, man. What in the world?
We're talking about someone that actually has it. Someone that
No, that's what
actually
I mean. No,
has
no, that's what I
salvation.
mean. That's what I mean. Like they was able to inherit it. They received salvation. They was able to. They came in a point in place in life where they actually did once believe,
Mhm.
and in some point in their life they had either had a circumstance, whatever whatever thing that has happened to them, whether the devil has stepped in or they went through a traumatic experience or they received the doctrine of demons and they believed in that and they rejected God and said, you know what, I don't believe
They
in this
start
no more.
following. They start following something else, right?
Correct, right?
Okay, so this is
now
why I put those 20 rules, those 20 truths. Look at number
3.
4 and 5. His sheep follow him. Number 4, his sheep will never follow a stranger or a strange voice. Number 4. Number 5, his sheep will run away from a stranger or a strange voice. So guess what's not going to happen? They're not going to go after Hinduism or.
And that is my point. That I. Okay. Let's come back to a little bit of a grounding here. If say I encounter God, okay, just that I encounter him in a small fashion, not a huge flamboyant way, just but I say to myself, you know what I do know about him is insufficient to keep me here. The question I would have for you is, what about him made you go to him the first time? Like, what about was the why would you go there only to later recant your choice and leave? Like, what was the allure to begin with? How exactly did you approach God? Like, what was your? That'd be the question I have.
Buddhism or Islam or anything else. Not a true believer. 2 things that we always seem to just put to the side. One, if you are saved, the Holy Spirit is in you.
There you go.
That means he leads you. Jesus says the same thing in John 10:3. Forget us, talk about Jesus. He says that he leads. So, Jesus, you're leading sheep, and there's one way over there. Are you leading sheep, Jesus? Oh, you know what? Doggone it. I better go back and grab that sheep. I'm not really. No, that's not. We're talking about the good shepherd. Not the kind of good shepherd, not the human shepherd, not the regular old Joe Blow shepherd, the 9-to-5 working shepherd, not the hireling. Says that he leads his sheep. He also says he won't lose one. Now, I'm not the best at math. I can count to 1, and that's more than he'll ever lose, according to Jesus. I didn't say it. Jesus said it. Isn't that a truth? Did he say that?
Now here comes. I'm gonna put some money on it. The dude in the bottom left is gonna come with a rebuttal as to why, even in that instance, the issue is still on the table for him to lose. Watch.
Jesus says, I will never lose that one.
I want you to understand that I'm not having this argument because I disbelieve.
No,
what
I
you're
know.
saying.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if anyone joining in late, Mark says that he agrees, but there's some things he wants to kind of tidy up or whatever. So he's not he gets it.
No,
But
just
like
wait.
me, when I first got it, or actually before I got it, I was on the other side. No, you can lose your salvation. I know for a fact. I was John 15 and I was James 5 and I was other passages, and then I finally accepted it. But I still had some things I had to kind of, I'm not sure. Let me help me out. And so, guys, this is what Mark is doing. He's saying, hey, listen, let me just, I want to be secure. That's what a real Berean, a true blue, honest to goodness Christian would want to do. I want to be secure. I want to know every argument in and out. So that's what he's doing, guys. He's not.
Okay, hear me out. And I love Corey. I'll understand that, right? But it really is much more simple. It really is so simple. It is simple. And that's what the problem is. It's too simple. You know why it's simple? Because he said it. That's it. Like people who come to tell me, well, what about, did God say it? Yeah, well, then there you go. Well, what did he mean? I don't care what he meant. I'm telling you what he said, and that's all I'm taking it for is what he said. You want to call it face value, call it that, but I'm calling it as is. Is him saying it just not enough? What more fleshed out do you need? Like honestly, what more fleshing out do you need of him saying, "You're mine, and I got you"? I'm so baffled as to why it's not this simple for most.
He's not saying that you can't lose it.
Yeah, I'm not opposing it, and I'm not debating it or arguing with you. But I just want to have a secure conversation so that when I bring up these verses, you can tighten it up for me. That's all it is. I'm not opposing the idea that you can lose your salvation. This is not the conversation. So I give an example. When you said that Jesus said, "Oh, my followers will hear my voice and they won't follow another one," right? It also comes to mind that there's a verse that it says, "If possibly, even the elect can be deceived." Help me with that one. If possible.
Can they? Well, again, his job is to deceive, even if possible for the elect to be deceived. Will they though? Saying if it's possible doesn't mean they will be, because we've already been told he won't lose any. He'll bring all of them. They will never. Another truth is they will never ever perish. So we got these truths that we say, okay, so does this apply to them? Is this could this possibly? Now here's the thing: do Christians have to abide? Do they have to endure? Do they have to remain? Sure. Yeah, that doesn't go against what we believe. The next question is, will Christians abide, remain, and endure? Yes, they will. According to the scriptures, they will. So that's not a problem either. Or, well, what if, what about these warnings for Christians? Why would you warn people if they're saying, why warn someone that there's no possibility of them losing their life? Because everybody that says they're a Christian isn't.
Now, there was a verse that came up, right? And I think we need to address it. Matthew 24. Okay. Matthew 24. And I want to read it first. Okay, Matthew 24. Okay. We'll go to 15. Therefore, when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet standing in the holy place, whoever reads, let him understand. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let him who is on the housetop not go down to take anything out of the house, and let him who is in the field not go back to get his clothes. But woe to those who are pregnant and to those who are nursing babies in those days, and pray that your flight may not be in the winter or on the Sabbath, for then there will be great tribulation, such as has never been seen since the beginning of the world until this time. No, nor shall ever be. And unless those days were shortened, no flesh would be saved. But for God's elect's sake, those days will be shortened. Then, if anyone says to you, look, here's the Christ, or there, do not believe it. For false Christs and false prophets will rise and show great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. But we know it's not possible. So if that's the truth, let's do a conglomeration. If it's true that he can't lose what he's been given, He's the one that offers salvation. The criteria for entering salvation is death to self. What part of you is calling to go back to self? Like what portion of you is calling out to say this makes good sense to go back? Again, I might just be high. I might be floating on some really good mushrooms or something right now. I don't know.
That thinks they're saved isn't. We know somebody. Yeah, I'm a Christian. While I'm smoking and drinking and this and that or whatever. Come on, hold on. I got my side chick over here. Right? They call themselves a Christian, and they think they are. They think that, hey man, I can live how I want to live. Because again, we're not talking about a license to go and live how you want to live. That's what we're talking about. Because a true Christian wouldn't want to do that. He might sin. He might even have what looks like a period or a season of sin. Right? Give you an example. Case in point, Peter. Peter decided, you know what? I'm gonna deny Jesus 3 times. And guess where Jesus was when Peter denied him? Right there. Peter, you see this, right? You see me, don't you? I mean, he's in the exact same court, and he denied him publicly. I don't know a lot of fake Christians who will deny Jesus publicly, but Peter did and left. You know what? I'm gone fishing. He was the first person to ever put up a sign that says "gone fishing." That's Peter, right? So what did Jesus? Now, Jesus knew, and Jesus said, "And when you return." So if we judge Peter for those few days that he was out just doing wrong, he was in wrong. If we judged him for his short season of in sin, we'll be wrong. So you'll have these stints, but at the same time, Peter was bothered and repentant. He just wasn't strong enough at the time. That's fine.
Now, interesting analogy, but I want to double down on it a little bit. You know that the I guess that would be what was Freud? I don't know why that word's evading me. Anyway, the mental work that you have to do in order to get to this place of finding your way out of salvation is akin to what people do when they don't realize that your story of getting from somewhere to God is what helps someone else realize that it is possible for them. Psychologist, that's what it is. Yes. The psychology behind this. I know lots of us use this idea of psychology. We just don't realize it. But the human mind is quite a fascinating one. And when it sees something that it considers a danger to what it likes, it won't do it. Okay. In Peter's situation, it was told of him that he was going to do it. He put up a fuss. He put up a fight. And then, just like Mike Tyson says, everybody got a plan till they get punched in the mouth. Peter found out that you're not him. You say you're not, and you're ready to die for me and all that. And then when the fan gets turned on, splat. So let's take his failure, his moral, abject failure, and put it on us. If God can use Peter after that, what exactly are you losing, and how can you lose it? If I maybe I'm not phrasing it right, because when I tell you this, it hurts my brain. It really hurts my brain. I don't understand why you would try to look for a way out. It makes me question whether or not you made your way in. That's what it is.
Fine. You're not unsaved because you're weak. You're unsaved because you're not willing. And Peter makes that point in Romans 7. Paul makes that point in Romans 7. People say, well, that was prior to his salvation. No, it wasn't, because he's using present tense verbs. We know what he's talking about. And he says that the thing that he doesn't want to do, he does. And he uses word, his desire is to not sin, versus the person whose desire is to sin. Are you with me?
This was before when he received the Holy Spirit, though, when he didn't have strength in regards to the temptation that was given that
Who,
was
Paul?
already proposed to him.
Who, Paul?
Peter.
Oh.
Peter. When he fell before the Holy Spirit was given him to have power,
Mhm.
he wasn't able to resist that temptation, which is why he fell. And
Well,
Jesus had to
but
hear
guess
that.
what Peter had at the time that he fell? Guess what Peter was at the time? Peter had a regenerated heart. John 13 tells us that his heart had been cleansed, but he failed. So guess what? You are going to mess up. You are going to mess up. No ifs, ands, buts about it. And he likes to use the mess ups to help somebody else who've been messing up. So how?
Okay, there it is. That's what I thought. Right. And you see, that's what my thought is too. I know he says he believes in it. But by this point, there is enough scripture, I would think, unpackaged here that they ain't no way you can say that you can. Like that, if somebody still believes it after you present what Corey presented, then let them believe it. Like honest, okay, look. When I say I don't convince people, I'm not trying to convince nobody, bro. I'm not convincing nobody. I'm simply telling you what it is. And if you don't want it, you don't want it. If you want to run all kinds of rabbit trails and deer trails and if you want to do all that, feel free to do all it. But please don't come to me with this nonsense about once you are there, you find a reason to no longer want to be there. You weren't there. You weren't there. You weren't there, man. You weren't there. You think you were. You were hoping you were, but you weren't there.
Oh, what if Mark messes up, and then Bob sees Mark messing up, but Bob also sees Mark getting up and returning to Christ? That's good for Bob, because man, I've been struggling too, and now I see another brother who's going through it, and now I know I can do it. Because if I'm struggling with something and there's nobody else I can identify with that can relate to what I'm going through, I feel hopeless. Maybe that's why we got a lot of Christians who still struggle with some stuff, because there's a lot of non-Christians who need to see that being saved don't mean that you're perfect or that you won't have struggles. Being saved means that you've got a vehicle to get you past those struggles. That makes sense. Doggone, I feel like getting charismatic and get me an organ up in
I
here.
love it. I love it. No.
But listen, Mark, I gotta run, because there's a bunch of other folks.
Now, I'm going to say this. God is sufficient for everything we could possibly want. Okay. He has given us everything we could possibly need. But people don't actually come to God anymore. The people that say, if you have to say, yeah, I'm a Christian, but, people really are not coming to God for who he is. People are coming to God for what he can offer. That's not being a Christian. That's a freeloader. And when you don't get what you want, it's easy to walk away from what you thought you were coming to get. People who are genuinely broken, when they come to God, realize that there is no other option. This is the absolute best option. This is the perfect option. This option is in spite of. And whether I get or don't get anything, I'm good. But if your salvation is linked in your mind to some sort of a perk, I'm sorry to tell you that you may not be coming to the right spot. You may be at a phantom zone when it comes to God. You're not at God's feet yet. At God's feet lies an internal recognition of when something is wrong. It's an internal recognition of what's wrong. And I think I've said this before. The flesh gonna flesh. It's what it does. The flesh is gonna flesh. The flesh will want exactly what is why it has to be chaff. It's why it's built into death. It's gonna die. The life that he offers is not built into this. It's built into what is eternal, which is his spirit. It is built into him. That life is built into him, which is why he had to transplace you from what you were to what he is. You are not God, but you are now participating in the nature that is not condemnable. But in order to get into that non condemned nature, you have to realize that your nature prior to is condemned. There's no keeping a portion, a piece. Let me see if I can find this here. Because, like I say, I can't remember necessarily the real whole of it, but let me see if I can find it here. Um, okay. I think this is where it was. It was in Joshua. Um, let's go to Joshua real quick, and I'll show you what I mean. What happens when you come to God and He tells you to go do something, and you don't do it, but you expect the perk of having it, of what comes after you've done it? Okay, this is what most people do. This is, and I think this is where it is. This is what most people do when they come to God. They Joshua 7 it. You must do this, 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 and this. Saved. So what do they go and do? They pull a Matthew 20, a Joshua 7, okay, and they pull a Achan. Y'all remember Achan? Achan. This was Achan's story. So the Lord said to Joshua, "Get up. Why do you lie thus on your face? Israel has sinned, and they have also transgressed my covenant which I commanded them. For they have even taken some of the accursed things, and have both stolen and deceived. And they have also put it among their own stuff. Therefore the children of Israel could not stand before the enemies, but turned their backs before their enemies, because they have become doomed to destruction." You hold on to anything you ain't supposed to hold on to, and you're going to end up in this kind of problem here. Neither will I be with you anymore unless you destroy the accursed from among you. Get up, sanctify the people, and say, sanctify yourselves for tomorrow, because thus says the Lord of Israel, there is an accursed thing in your midst. O Israel, you cannot stand before your enemies until you take away the accursed thing from among you. In the morning, therefore, you shall be brought according to your own tribes, and it shall be that the tribe which the Lord takes shall come according to families, and the family which the Lord takes shall come by households, and the household which the Lord takes shall come man by man. Then it shall be that he who is taken with the accursed thing shall be burned with fire, he and all he has, because he has transgressed the covenant of the Lord, and because he has done a disgraceful thing in Israel. He got the memo to not keep. He still kept, and then tried to act like if nothing was happening, but there is an actual loss when you do that. If you are saying that you are a Christian and you still value yourself of way above the life of Christ, then you're not saved. By the nature of salvation, you've recognized your inadequacy. You're unable to live up to all of that, and you've decided, I need to be putting that to death. God cannot do what he has to do with that. It's an accursed thing. It's gone. I must live in his life the way he ordains it. The instant I start to find myself doubting that, I probably did not put myself down. I didn't put myself down. Romans. We'll end with this. Romans 6. What shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound? Certainly not. How shall we who died to sin live any longer in it? Or do you not know that as many of us as were baptized into Christ were baptized into his death? Therefore, we were buried with him through baptism into death, that just as Christ was raised from the dead by the glory of the Father, even so we should walk in the newness of life. But if that's not what you need and that's what you want, then don't say you're saved. Salvation only comes with one access point and one exit. Access point is Jesus, and the exit is the release of this flesh. We somehow want to act like, oh, I can enter and leave and enter and leave whenever I feel like, because I'm the arbiter of salvation, not Christ. Stop fighting to find a way to lose something that you can't lose because you're not the one that's capable of getting rid of it. Now, say you've never picked it up. That's one thing you can say. Say you never possessed it. You can definitely say that. But you can't possess something given to you by one who thinks, okay, your hands are empty and I can give it to you. That's not how this works. Either your hands are full and he can't give it to you, or your hands are empty and he can give it to you. And once your hands are empty and out and he gives it to you, that's the only thing you have. You're not going to be giving it for nothing else. You're not going to exchange it. It's in your hand. Anyway, I might have to do a follow-up on this one probably tomorrow, because it is something that's been sticking in my craw. It's been there, like just nagging. And I think it just comes down to God just ain't enough. I just think people just don't think it's enough. I just think so. Anyway, I appreciate you guys. I will continue this tomorrow. I'll do a part 2 on this one because I think we need to. Yeah, that one right there. I don't get it, man. So we'll talk about it. Okay, we'll talk about it some more tomorrow. And I think I'll go find some more examples of people and how they fight it to show exactly what I mean. Um, I'll show you what I mean. Jumping out the bosom and stuff. Jump and squirrel out the bosoms. The bosoms. The P.O. box is in the channel platform location. I'll show it to you where you can go find it so you don't have any issues finding it again. I'm going to show you exactly where to look. This is my page, okay? As you see, there it is. I'll zoom in some more. You see that says right here, more? There's the P.O. box right there. Okay? If you go to the more section of the page, this is my page, it says I'm live. And you go to more right underneath my name, you'll see it right there. And you can find it, use it there, right there. If you need it, whoever needed it. Okay. Yesterday was a good day for my pain, but then the wife had a diverticulitis flare up, so I had to take her to the hospital to try and get that figured out. And now it's like a 5 or a 6 with pain today, but it's just cold. So I have a suspicion that's might be most of why my pain isn't, because it's cold. It's stinking cold. I don't like it. But yeah, but she's fine now in terms of like not in the hospital anymore. So she's home. They gave her some meds, some antibiotics and stuff, and so she'll be down for a bit. but I'm okay. I can live with what I got going on. I did find out that I can't see my doctor until January 15th, though. So I got quite the wait to figure out what else I got going on. Anyhow, like I said, scrolling at the bottom, you know what to do. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. More than likely, we'll be live tonight on both sides. We were last night. Go check that video out. But we'll be live on both sides tonight, more than likely. Love you all. Mean it. Have a grand rest of your day. Wisdom calls to you from the street. So please, please, please find wisdom. Peace.
Hold tight the dreams, for if dreams die.